Welcome to the 2022 Camarillo State of the City. As you all know, my name is Shawn Mulchay, Mayor of the City of Camarillo, and I genuinely want to thank each of you for taking time out of your day to join us this afternoon for what is a rather dense but informative update on all that's going on in our city. At the root of our city's operations is our mission statement and our dedication to provide effective and efficient municipal services that promote a high quality of life, economic vitality, and a safe environment. Let's start with the dollars and cents. Camarillo remains in strong financial shape. We continue to budget conservatively and retain our reputation, both regionally and statewide, of exhibiting strong financial stability. Camarillo is ranked 33rd out of 430 cities evaluated by the California State Auditor's Office. In Ventura County, we're number 1. We've maintained our AAA rating by Standard & Poor's, something that very few cities and even Fortune 500 companies can claim to have. As a contract city, we retain a stable employee base and contract for services as needed. The efficiencies of contracting for services such as police, library, building and safety, our city attorney, landscaping, transit, trash, and other services allows us to strike a strong balance between providing excellent service to our residents while controlling costs and exhibiting fiscal prudence with taxpayer dollars. These savings, mitigating risk and staying true to our conservative and practical approach, have allowed us to weather economic turbulence and, more recently, the repercussions of the COVID-19 pandemic. In June, the City Council approved an operationally balanced $144 million annual budget for fiscal year 2022-23. The budget focused on council priorities, including maintaining high service levels for Camarillo residents, a focus on climate action and sustainability, process improvements, and pandemic recovery. So let's start with the revenue. The city projects approximately $122 million in revenue, with the largest sources coming from state sales tax, property tax, franchise tax, and transient occupancy tax, also known as bed tax. These revenue streams, namely sales and property taxes, have not only recovered to their pre-pandemic levels, they've already begun to outpace them. When looking at our expenditures, we budgeted $144 million. The largest operating expenses coming from police services, followed by salaries and benefits for staff and other operational expenses. So this is about where those who are doing quick math go, how does $144 million in expenses and $122 million in revenue equate to being a balanced budget, there being a delta of $22 million between the two? That difference of $22 million is due to planned use of we're going to use our accumulated fund balance, i.e. our reserves, for one-time costs and capital expenditures. So this fiscal year's accumulated fund balance for the city is projected to be $155.9 million. So there's a QR code right up there, and you're going to see some QR codes throughout the entire presentation. At any point, you can take out your phone, hover it over and open your camera, hover it over the screen. It'll give you a link. You can click on that, and it'll take you to different web pages with additional information. So aside from day-to-day operating expenses, we continue to make investments in maintaining, replacing, and upgrading city infrastructure. We do this through our capital improvement program. And for this fiscal year, 22-23, we have budgeted $26.9 million distributed across 30 different capital projects. Up on the screen, you'll see, and to put it into context, you'll see the 5-year projected capital improvement program, totaling over $178 million, split amongst 6 categories. On to public safety. Simply put, Camarillo values public safety. A safe community is a defining feature in Camarillo and one of the largest contributing factors to our high quality of life. Camarillo contracts with the Ventura County Sheriff's Office to provide law enforcement in an efficient manner and, as you'll see, an effective manner. We're proud to be ranked as the 17th safest city in California. Led by Commander Tennyson, the Camarillo Police Department is comprised of 56 sworn deputies, 9 professional staff members who serve us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Additionally, the sheriff is aided by over 63 community volunteers from Camarillo's Citizen Patrol, the Explorer Youth Program, and the Disaster Assistance Response Team, also known as DART. There are also an additional 21 deputies who work out of the Camarillo station who are assigned to serve nearby unincorporated areas. In addition to Camarillo's patrol personnel, the police department includes a detective bureau, Traffic Bureau, Community Resource Unit, Special Enforcement Detail, and the newly formed Dedicated Enforcement Detail to accomplish a mission of keeping crime rates low in our community. So the proof is in the numbers. This chart tells an amazing story and puts into context the strides made in public safety over the last 30 years. Contrary to what you might glean off of social media platforms like Facebook or Nextdoor, you're safer in Camarillo today than any point in the last 30 years. That's worth. Camarillo has the lowest violent crime rate in all of Ventura County, 0.55 violent crimes per 1,000 people, versus the 0.75 violent crimes per 1,000 people we had last year. This amounts to an overall reduction of violent crime by 28% year over year. Last year, our officers responded to 17,900 calls of service, made over 3,000 arrests, with the largest category being drug-related arrests for being under the influence of a controlled substance. Our Camarillo Police Department continues to be responsive to changing crime trends and the tactics that those criminals employ. Our current major crime trend remains the same, the theft of catalytic converters. We're seeing our third year of increases in thefts of this expensive vehicle exhaust part, myself included, as my own business has been targeted 2 times over the last 3 years. Criminals target the catalytic converters for the precious metals contained inside. By now, we've all seen the videos of thieves using battery-operated saws under the cover of darkness, most often in the early morning hours. They're in, they're out within about 90 seconds, and most of the victims are not aware of these thefts until hours later when they go to start their cars in the morning. The Camarillo Police Department has made a number of arrests over the last year, and in each case, what we find is the cities of residence of these criminals are both outside our city and outside our county. New legislation recently signed by the governor will give police another tool in combating the thefts by holding metal recyclers accountable for purchasing catalytic converters from illicit or illegitimate sellers. The Camarillo Police Department continues to make strides in connecting with our community through events like Coffee with a Cop, usually at Starbucks, Shop with a Cop, and Coppers and Choppers. They're actively engaging with the unhoused population through Project Hope, which comprises of a full-time deputy and a behavioral health specialist. This year, the city was able to increase that specialist from a half-time position to a full-time position. Now, Project Hope has been a program modeled by numerous other cities and agencies throughout our state, and one that works to address homelessness through the outreach and resources that are personalized to the individual to aid with their transition off the streets. On to modernizing Camarillo. Modernizing our city and its operations, both internally and in public-facing processes, has been a key initiative over the past year. The best form of government, I believe, is one that is efficient with both time and resources, effective in achieving desired outcome, responsive to the needs and the feedback of its residents and its businesses, and accountable for its performance. That's what we continuously strive to do here in Camarillo. As a city that's safe, financially strong, and with few outsized issues, we have a greater opportunity than most to strive to be the best in class amongst our region and our state. To be an example of how government can be efficient, be effective, be responsive, and be sustainable. For us, we've worked to fulfill this vision through numerous projects and initiatives. We started with refreshing the city website, making navigation easier, more intuitive and responsive, and information more readily available. We included a trending topics page to bring information regarding the city's most pressing issues to the forefront, providing access to an interactive budgeting dashboard, and included more online and inline forms that can be filled out and submitted online. To increase the ease of communication with residents, we just launched Camarillo Connect. Take a second, like I said, use your smartphone camera, hover it over that QR code, and you'll be taken to the App Store, and you can download and use that today. Camarillo Connect is a complete work order system where residents can provide feedback to the city on issues around town, including graffiti, potholes, code violations, issues with traffic signs, signals, perhaps an issue with a tree or some roots. We also regularly update our development activities map. Located on the city's website, this is an interactive map where residents can get information on every development or construction project around town, whether it be a public works road improvement project or a private residential, commercial, or industrial development. We don't need to look at earth movers and guess what's going on. We can get the information right here. We've also made continuous improvements to the City Scene newsletter and the Notify Me emails. In July, we successfully transitioned our City Scene newsletter to a fully digital version as we continue to strive for increased sustainability. The new digital version is released monthly versus the bi-monthly that the paper one was, and on the first of each month, thus reducing the printing of 276,000 sheets of paper annually, and cost savings to the city and taxpayers of $80,000. This provides a platform for sharing more timely information with our residents. Also on our website, you can select to get email updates on a whole host of specific topics throughout our Notify Me sign-up form. So whether it be from economic development, emergency notifications, senior news, to updates about sustainability initiatives or a specific development project in town. Rather than hunt for the information, we'll send it to you as it develops or on a timed interval, like once a month. And within the last 2 months, we watched our total number of subscribers to Notify Me surpass 15,000. Additionally, we've expanded our use of social media platforms and upgraded our video services to significantly improve the quality, scope, and informative nature of our digital media and enhance our City Scene TV channel. In efforts to continuously streamline and improve city operations, we've created an interdepartmental team to review all of our city's permitting processes, implement a digital permitting process from submission to review to approval, digitize numerous internal processes, and we're implementing a comprehensive cloud-based system designed to help our law enforcement identify, track, prosecute, and seek restitution from graffiti vandals. Additionally, citywide, we've moved to paperless agendas and reports for meetings, which, should you know how much paper those meetings produce, should single-handedly save at least half the rainforest. Those who know. At the core of all of this, though, are clearly defined performance measurements. Taking an approach that you can't manage what you can't measure, last fiscal year we revamped our department-specific metrics to ensure that we're measuring what matters, performing as expected, and where we're not, identifying those issues and working to address them. Economic development has been given renewed focus over these last several years, starting with the adoption of our Economic Development Strategic Plan and the hiring of Economic Development Manager George Winkler. Say hi, George. Hi, George. If you're doing business in Camarillo or you want to, George is your guy, and you've likely met him. The Economic Development Division, i.e. George, because this guy is a division unto himself, is actively implementing the city's Economic Development Strategic Plan. This year, there has been an increased focus on raising awareness of Camarillo as a place for targeted industry types that create high-paying jobs, and to increase the city's ability to positively and quickly serve those businesses when they interact with the city. For example, a targeted industry type is life science. Think Amgen, maybe smaller. Staff is developing assets to attract and expand this industry type in Camarillo. In addition, staff has met with developers, business owners, academia, and investors to understand what this industry needs in looking for a location. Using that information, we're reviewing our municipal codes and considering process improvements in an effort to remove those unintentional barriers to bringing these businesses to Camarillo. Staff also arranges for business visits to stay connected with the Camarillo business community. And as a result of those visits, makes connections to relevant resources and sometimes recommends procedural changes to increase the city's efficiency and its friendliness. Additionally, staff helps at business with business recovery. So as an example, Economic Development Division arranges a semi-annual career fair to help Camarillo's employers and to encourage the workforce to work in Camarillo. They also maintain the Camarillo's hiring webpage, which promotes local jobs in Camarillo. Some quick stats to note: calendar year to date, we've conducted 10 business visits. We are nearing 2,200 subscribers to our economic development newsletter. We've held 2 jobs fairs with over 600 jobs available, and we've seen over 3,200 visits to our Camarillo hiring webpage. Aiding our small business community through the economic turmoil of COVID-19 was a key priority for our city. It was important we backed up our rhetoric with specific and impactful actions, like drawing on our large city reserves to distribute $1 million in grants and funding an additional $1 million revolving loan fund in partnership with the Economic Development Collaborative. Both of these programs were specifically targeted to Camarillo-based small businesses. Our water-filled barricade reimbursement program and no-fee outdoor zone clearances were critical for restaurants to quickly move outdoors when mandated and to maintain safe outdoor dining environments for their guests. I'm really proud of how Camarillo stepped up and stepped in to aid our business community during this time. One of City Council's evolving priorities is to ensure our community strengthens its response to environmental changes. Building resiliency around climate adaptation and sustainability in its operations. Not only does this have a positive environmental effect, but oftentimes, and as I'll touch on, it's a smart financial move too. In alignment with this goal, the city currently is creating a sustainability master plan for municipal operations, which includes a climate action plan due to be completed in 2023. So let me run you down a few of the initiatives already underway. Earlier this year, the city approved moving forward with the installation of 56 EV charging stations, split between City Hall, the Camarillo Public Library, and Public Works Courtyard. This will serve as a backbone to the city's adoption of electric vehicles for our light-duty fleet, and we're currently in the process of procuring several EVs at this time. In December 2020, Camarillo converted all its SCE-owned streetlights, 4,500 streetlights in all, from the old high-pressure sodium vapor fixtures to the more efficient and brighter LED fixtures. The new LED streetlights use approximately 60% less energy than those old lights. In these nearly 2 years since implementation, the city has saved approximately 1.6 million kilowatt hours of energy. It has saved our taxpayers over $300,000 in energy costs, while also avoiding the annual generation of 1.3 million pounds of greenhouse gas emissions. Earlier this year, the council adopted a 100% renewable energy default rate through the Clean Power Alliance. That means all of our energy, by default, will come from renewable energy sources, such as wind and solar power, and further alleviating the environmental footprint of our community while supporting further investment in additional renewable energy generation projects. In late 2020, the Camarillo Sanitation District was awarded a $2 million grant from the California Public Utilities Commission to design and install a Tesla Megapack battery out at the sanitation plant. Not only will this serve as a backup power source for our plant in the event of power disruptions, but it's estimated to save the district approximately $90,000 a year through the use of energy arbitrage, which is effectively charging the batteries during cheaper off-peak periods and dispensing those batteries during on-peak hours when energy rates are higher. This project is designed and construction is about to begin in the coming weeks. Camarillo's hybrid microgrid project is currently in design. Proposed for City Hall, our Camarillo Police Station, and Corporation Yard, this project will combine solar, battery storage, and diesel generation to create a hybrid microgrid system that can supply power in short-term outages using the solar and battery storage, preserving the backup diesel generators when needed for long-term power outages. This hybrid approach will increase the city's resilience to respond during a natural disaster while reducing its carbon footprint, providing ongoing utility bill savings by striving to achieve zero net energy from the power grid. The potential 20-year savings, which is largely based on the size of those respective installations, is then estimated into the tens of millions of dollars. Now, flying on over to the Camarillo Airport, and contrary to its name, as it may imply, the airport is owned and operated by the County of Ventura and not the city. Surprisingly, many people don't know that. After some concerns and tension with previous director of airports, Keith Freitas was hired by the county to take over, and the turbulence has definitely dissipated. Now, when one of the Kardashians chooses to fly out of Camarillo Airport at 2 a.m., true story, and outside of our airport's operating hours, resulting in complaints from residents, Keith Freitas has been our guy. And to his credit, though, Director Freitas has been a great partner in working with the city since coming aboard the county about a year ago. He's reaffirmed the county's commitment to the 1976 Joint Powers Agreement between the county and the city, which outlines airport operations and those operating restrictions. He's quelled fears of Amazon or large commercial airlines coming to Camarillo, and just to reaffirm, they're not. And he's been instrumental in the Department of Airport's pursuit of an airport layout plan, which is a smaller, more simplified plan than the more controversial airport master plan process. And Director Freitas has committed to aligning with the city regarding community engagement for this process, which begins in spring of 2023. Furthermore, he's pursuing the installation of additional hardware to better track the movement of planes that use the airport to help ensure that they remain in compliance, and commissioned a comprehensive noise study to ensure that comprehensive noise study for the airport and our surrounding Camarillo neighborhoods. Lastly, you've likely noticed the large hangar development out at the airport recently. That is the airport-specific development called Cloud 9. It consists of 4 large hangars that will accommodate larger executive jets, similar to what already operates out at the Camarillo Airport. Being on county-owned land, the city had very little jurisdiction in the size or the design of the structure, but it's certainly noticeable. So on to capital improvement projects. And we'll start with the desalter. The Pleasant Valley Groundwater Desalter Project is the largest capital project ever undertaken by the city, costing $66 million and taking over 15 years to bring to fruition. The prognosis is good. With construction complete, the desalter is undergoing its final and complex testing phase that is required to obtain state permits to operate and should begin delivering water in the coming months. Write that down, all right? Quote me on it. So for those of you asking, why the delay? It's a result of testing conducted earlier this summer that identified additional enhancements and adjustments needed to ensure that the plant operates as intended and delivers only the highest quality of potable water for our customers. That's why such complex testing and rigorous regulatory requirements exist. The operation of such a vital and expensive piece of infrastructure is not something you merely flip the switch on without first putting it through its paces. With the necessary changes and calibrations now complete, we are in the final stage prior to delivering water to our Camarillo water customers. And once producing, the desalter will ramp up its output over several months to bring it to full capacity. Now, although the desalter will significantly reduce our reliance on imported state water to potentially as low as only 15 to 20% of our total annual water consumption, the need to supplement our local supplies will remain and will continue to be required to adhere to the state's water conservation mandates. Of course, no sooner than completing our largest capital project in our history, the Camarillo Sanitary District has begun undertaking a project that will quickly eclipse the desalter for that title. Adopted in July of this year, the Wastewater Master Plan is a forward-looking planning document detailing the condition of the Camarillo Sanitary District infrastructure, namely our sanitation plant, and detailing a roadmap for necessary long-term improvements. The conclusion was that large portions of our sanitation plant are nearing the end of their useful life and will need replacement within the next 10 years. Originally constructed in 1957, the wastewater treatment plant has been expanded several times, but in order to meet long-term resiliency needs and to also remain compliant with environmental and regulatory changes, it's time for a broader overhaul that will be split into 2 phases, likely span 8 years, and at this time cost an estimated $135 million. The result will be a state-of-the-art sanitation plant that will serve as the backbone of our sanitation system for the next 50 years and beyond. Dizdar Park in Old Town. So Dizdar Park renovation and expansion will combine the existing park with the land occupied by the old fire station in Old Town. The new park will include an entry plaza, sitting garden, new landscaping, a band shell for community events, a fire-themed playground, public art, public restrooms, and improved lighting throughout the nearly 2-acre site. Design is currently underway, with the groundbreaking occurring early next year. As early as late next year. Important distinction. Cycling infrastructure. So Camarillo's cycling infrastructure is loved by our residents. I certainly use it myself, and is more greatly needed as people explore alternative modes of transportation and getting around. We currently have 2 related projects in the pipeline. The first is the Central Avenue bike lanes, which will connect the western portion of the future Springville bike path to the city limits along Central Avenue, thus tying it into the county's bike path network. We're currently pursuing grant funding opportunities to bring this project to fruition. We're also in the final design stages, and anticipate the award of bid in spring 2023 for the Pleasant Valley Road bike paths. These paths will span the edges of both the east and westbound lanes, with construction anticipated to begin in summer 2023. And for anyone who's ridden a bike along Pleasant Valley, you know how treacherous that is. Lastly, our city stands committed to support the establishment of bike and running path connections from Camarillo out to CSU Channel Islands and Point Mugu, in coordination with both the county and the university, if and hopefully when that opportunity arises. So, development around town. There's a lot to cover. We'll start with the Central Plaza. Demolition permits have now been pulled for the Central Plaza remodel project, which includes demolishing the existing and long vacant Kmart building and to construct a new Vons superstore, potentially a pavilions, in its place. The existing Vons is proposed to relocate within the center to the new store. The former location will be subdivided for future tenants. The project includes a new drive-through restaurant pad, a gas station, and a convenience market run by Vons. It also includes a new pad building at the corner of Ponderosa and Arneal, which has long been dirt, and a complete renovation of the plaza's facades, parking lot, and landscaping. On the corner of Lewis Road and Berry Street, formerly the location of the stock lumber yard, Vista Campagnaro will provide 59 affordable rental units restricted to extremely low, very low, and low-income households, 1 unrestricted manager's rental unit, and 8 affordable for-sale condominium units restricted to low-income households. The city entered into a term sheet with the Area Housing Authority and many mansions for the development of this site. This project, which includes both rental and for-sale units, will be the first 100% affordable project to exclusively accommodate these income-level households in Camarillo. And I would be remiss to not highlight the fact that the rental portion of this project was recently awarded 9% tax credits, which amounts to $2.5 million annually for 10 years, and represents the total allocation for the entire Central Coast region. The Arneal Road project is a mixed-use affordable housing project on a long vacant piece of city-owned property. It'll consist of 9 affordable units and 500 square feet of commercial space fronting Arneal Road. Now, known as the Old Technicolor Building on Mission Oaks Boulevard, the Rexford Industrial Development includes demolition of a 52,000 square foot office building and the construction of 2 buildings. The first one, Building A, an approximately 117,000 square foot multi-tenant industrial building, will begin in 2023. The construction of Building B is currently on hold as some flood concerns are being resolved. Williams Homes, originally conceived in 2013 and located within Village of the Park, adjacent to the Residence Inn by Marriott, the Williams Homes project has gone through a number of iterations. It will consist of 96 apartment units, rental units, including studio, 1-bedroom, and 2-bedroom units, and it is currently under construction and estimated to be completed in 2023. Formerly referred to, as I refer to it, as that humongous mountain of dirt, the Palmera residential project, formerly called the Camarillo Village Homes, is located at the corner of Lewis Road and Pleasant Valley Road. This project was approved in September of 2016. It includes 285 for-sale townhomes, 29 of which are moderate income. It'll also include a mixed-use development of 24 2-bedroom rental units, 3 of which are also reserved for low income, and 12,000 square feet of commercial space. Grading is nearly complete on this project, and the final track map is filed, and the plans are currently in plan check. Now, approved in 2020, the Camino Ruiz apartment project consists of 385 units, with 5% of those units reserved for very low-income households and an additional 5% reserved for moderate-income households. This project is unique in that respect, in that 10% of all the units will be restricted as affordable. Often, it's usually only 5%. With construction anticipated to begin in 2023, it'll include a village park, new sidewalks, a corner plaza, and public art. A subdivision of the Springville specific plan, Lennar Homes will include 158 for-sale single-family detached homes. Situated on over 43 acres, it'll include a 5-acre park, preservation of open space, bike paths, a hiking trail, and relocation and preservation of the Sholey Farmhouse as a historical building. Having undergone some changes to decrease the density, reduce building heights, and relocate the park to a more useful location, this project is currently in plan check. Finney's Craft House and Kitchen, approved in mid-2021, is a 5,400 square foot restaurant on a vacant retail pad adjacent to the Cracker Barrel restaurant at the Camarillo Promenade. The restaurant will feature a litany of local craft beers, full food menu, and outdoor activities like skee ball, cornhole for guests. The construction is anticipated to be completed in the coming weeks, just in time for the holiday season, and if you're anticipating as much as I am, then I will see you in line for that. A quick update on a project that has been on the top of minds and news locally for some years. The city has received several evolving submittals of the proposed hydrology and drainage plan from the developer New Urban West for the Camarillo Springs project. The city's third-party consultant has provided feedback upon review of these submissions, and once complete, the draft environmental impact report, also known as the EIR, will be updated and recirculated for public review for 45 days. Upon conclusion, the city's consultant will prepare responses to comments received on the original and the updated draft EIR, and the final EIR will then be scheduled for a public hearing. As a vivid reminder that projects don't always progress in a linear manner, and some hiccups occur, while others see more spectacular setbacks. Approved in 2017 for the development of 14 acres adjacent to the Camarillo Promenade, the Mion Plaza project encompasses 2 hotels, a 155-room Embassy Suites hotel and a 122-room Hotel de Suites. It will also include a 17,500 square foot conference center and numerous restaurant and retail pads totaling 27,000 square feet. The private developer has continued construction on the retail and the restaurant pads while publicly committing to rebuilding the Home de Suites building that had burnt down. He insists on seeing this project through to completion, but a timeline is unavailable at this time. So a quick update on ADUs in light of the state's mandate for us to update building codes. Interest in accessory dwelling units in Camarillo has been accelerating. From January through July of 2021, the city entitled 18 ADUs. In that same time span this year, we've already entitled 24 ADUs, an increase of 44% when compared. Additionally, the city water customers are still under mandate to restrict outdoor watering to once a week for no more than 10 minutes, while we continue to conserve water as the drought conditions persist. Camarillo purchases its water, imported water, from Northern California through the State Water Project, and the city is being required by suppliers to significantly reduce the use of imported water or face penalties for failing to comply with water conservation requirements. The City of Camarillo is complying with state and water conservation mandates. We are currently meeting our goals as they are set. We've also made overtures to the Metropolitan Water District in efforts to encourage them to increase investment in greater water conveyance infrastructure for our region to help reduce the severity of the mandated water restrictions. Although projects and funding has been identified, such capital projects will likely take 4 to 6 years to complete. On a more upbeat note, Kidstream, the former Camarillo Library, located at 3100 Ponderosa Drive, will soon be donated to Kidstream for the establishment of an interactive, hands-on children's museum. A term sheet has been approved, and a vote initiating transition of the property from the city to the Kidstream is expected prior to the end of this year. Kidstream is undertaking a capital fundraising campaign for the purpose of renovating the building to include numerous interactive exhibits and activities. We've continued to make investments in our reclaimed water infrastructure at the Camarillo Sanitation Plant, including a reclaimed water reservoir. As a byproduct of the plant's treatment process, in 2021, we generated over 1,200 acre-feet, or 406 million gallons of non-potable reclaimed water for use in watering our parks and sports fields like Pleasant Valley Fields, and for use by local agricultural farmers for their crops. Our proposed reservoir will improve reclaimed water delivery during periods of high demand, while storing water at times when demand is low. And in late 2019, the city initiated the process to identify a vendor and conduct testing of a new smart water metering technology. Today, the city is prepared to roll out these smart meters to its nearly 14,000 city water customers, allowing for the tracking of water use by customers through online dashboards. It'll provide the platform and data set necessary for the city and its residents to better understand their water use, identify leaks or inefficiencies, and work to better conserve this resource. Street maintenance. One of the city's most valuable assets are our roads. The city maintains 470 lane miles of roadway through our pavement management program, which keeps this asset looking good with a pavement condition index of 81. And for those who don't know, that is very good. City staff is already underway planning next summer's pavement project, which largely comprises of Old Town, the Old Town area. And then what better subject to end on than our amazing Camarillo Public Library? Truly a gem amongst our community and our county. One great example of how widely used our library is that there are over 96,000 active library card holders for our Camarillo Library. Despite the fact that that's approximately 20,000 more card holders than there are residents in Camarillo. So even in spite of the COVID-related restrictions, as the numbers state up on the screen, our library has still posted impressive stats that further cement its importance as a community resource. In June of this year, Camarillo Library Board approved a new 10-year agreement with Library Systems and Services, also known as LS&S, for the administration and the operation of the library, which they have been performing since 2011. For an amount of nearly $23 million, an emphasis was made to evaluate potential cost efficiencies and opportunities to enhance services. And in July of this year, the council took action to fully reopen our library back to 7 days a week. And with all of that, if you somehow took nothing from this 30, 35-minute presentation and somehow managed to gloss over everything I just talked about, just walk away knowing this: Camarillo is doing just great.